Okay. Now we're going to talk about how we convert the radians. So again, we're going to talk about this stuff on Monday. So I wanted to talk about how we converted to radians. So here's the thing I need you to think about. So the way I kind of prefaced this was the following. I said that everything in trigonometry is about circles and triangles. I mean, it really is. Everything in trigonometry, circles and triangles. So what I want to do is I want to tie that coordinate plane that I just showed you, this thing right here. I want to tie that to the circle. And if you understand what I mean by a circle, this is again what I mean by a circle. So we'll use this just as a reference. So right here, we have a circle. And if you remember about a circle, the things we know about a circle, it's got a center, it's got this guy here, the radius. And the formula that I want you to kind of focus on is called circumference equals 2 pi times the radius. That again is how far it is around the circle. So how many steps or how many miles or how many feet is it around a circle? What I need you to understand on this one is the following. Whether you knew it or not, you were talking about radians back then, because here's the idea. To measure the size of an angle, I can measure it in degrees, or I could measure it in radians. So what I'm going to do is again show the screen so you can see what I mean. So what we have here again, we have our circle. It's got a radius. Circumference is 2 pi r. So what I want to let you know is this: when I do this problem, to go one revolution of the circle, when I go one revolution of the circle, that is 360 degrees. And I want to let you know that 360 degrees is going to be the same as 2 pi radians. So these are the same measures. So a 360 degree angle is an angle that it has measured 2 pi radians. It's just another way of saying it. So instead of saying 12 inches, I say 1 foot. Instead of saying 360 degrees, I say 2 radians. So now I want to kind of show you the logic of how you convert from one to the other. So imagine this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go halfway around the circle. I'm going to go 180 degrees around the circle. I'm going halfway. Well, I'm telling you, it's half this distance. So what would happen if I went half of 2 pi? I'd end up with pi. So a 180 degree angle, which is that kind of flat line, 180 degrees making a half circle, is going to be pi radians. And we're going to just call it pi. We're not going to call it 3.14. It's pi. And if I wanted to go ahead and let's say I wanted to cut this again. So let's go ahead and say we're going to cut this in half again. We're going to make this a 90 degree angle. Well, if I'm cutting this 180 in half to 90, I'm going to cut the pi in half, and the pi is going to become pi over 2. So 90 degrees. So right angle, 90 degrees, right angle, pi over 2 radians. And I can keep following the same logic. So 45 degrees, 45 degrees. I cut it in half again. That's going to be pi over 4 radians. So what I did is I cut an angle in half, and now it's a quarter. That's what we're doing. We're just cutting in half. So this is really nice, except that, it'd be really nice if we just had a rule that worked all the time, so I didn't have to kind of figure out half, half, half. So again, what would be really, really nice is if I could figure out how much a degree was worth. Because what I noticed is that 360 degrees is worth 2 pi. 180 degrees is worth a pi. So how much is 1 degree worth? So how would I turn a 360 into a 1? What mathematical thing would I do? I mean, I could subtract 359, but notice I haven't been doing adding and subtracting. What I do here is I divide by 360. 360 divided by 360 gives me 1. Well, we just showed that this radian thing works where if I go half as far, I get half the pi. Half as far, half the pi. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get from 2 pi to whatever this number is, I'm going to divide by 360. So I'm going to take 2 pi, I'm going to divide by 360. So what this means is the following. If I simplify this, these are both even numbers, I can simplify this to pi over 180. So what the rule is the following. If I want to convert degrees into radians, I take my degrees and I multiply it by pi over 180. And that turns me into radians. Now, here's the really cool part, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, that pi, it's ugly, I don't like it. The pi just kind of follows through. All we need to worry about are the numbers. So what I wanted to say is, when I do something like this, and I want to say, what is 180 degrees in radians? I'm going to say 180 degrees in radians. I multiply it times pi over 180. What I'm telling you is the pi just comes over. And what do we have is 180 times something over 180. So basically what we end up having is this 180 divided by 180. So this actually just becomes 1 pi. And I will tell you that typically we'll just write it as pi. But we can do that for all of these. 90 times pi over 180. Again, the pi just kind of floats over here. 90 divided by 180. Again, I'm thinking, what is 90 divided by 180? 90 divided by 180, if you use your calculator, 1/2. So this is going to be 1/2 pi, and what we typically write it as is pi over 2. 45 degrees, we keep doing it, 45 times pi over 180. Again, the pi is just going to kind of float, and we're going to simplify the number 45 divided by 180. And notice we're just taking the degree dividing by 180. That's going to end up being 1/4. So this is pi over 4. And we kind of keep following the same logic. We just go through 270 times pi over 180. The pi floats over. We need to figure out what is 270 divided by 180. Again, what you're going to find out as you do it in your calculator, 270 over 180 is going to be 3 over 2, 3/2. So it becomes 3 pi over 2. And it works for any of them, even works for negatives. If I did negative 45 times pi over 180, it's going to be the pi again, kind of gets carried over, and we're going to look at what is negative 45 over 180. And when we simplify that, we're going to end up with negative 1/4. So this guy actually just becomes negative pi over. So that's converting from degrees to radians. The rule again is this: you take the degrees and you multiply it times pi over 180, and that converts you into radians. So what we're going to do now is next classes, we're going to figure out how to go the other direction. So hopefully that helps. Again, please come and ask questions if you got them. Try the practice that I gave in class and ask questions in the reflection. Thank you very much.